The law of nature is the law of cause and effect. Due to ignorance, one creates worries. That is the wheel of suffering. By training the mind and removing ignorance, one reverses the wheel of suffering and starts the wheel of Dhamma, the truth, which leads to release from birth and death and bring all beings to Nibbana, the eternal, unchanging, everlasting bliss. In a state of supreme happiness where there is no birth, how can there be disease, old age, death, followed by sorrow, pain, grief, lamentation, misery, and despair? The heart of Buddha's teachings are Four Noble Truths. These are the timeless universal truths. Enlightenment is exactly the understanding and experiencing of these truths. The Buddha said that he teaches only two things: suffering and how to end suffering. All the rest was not relevant for him. Realizing these truths, we too can become free from all sufferings.
As long as the absolutely true knowledge and insight as regards these Four Noble Truths was not quite clear in me, so long I was not sure that I had won that supreme enlightenment, which is unsurpassed in all the world, with its heavenly beings, evil spirits, and gods, amongst all the hosts of ascetics and priests, heavenly beings and men. But as soon as the absolute true knowledge and insight as regards these Four Noble Truths had become perfectly clear in me, there arose in me the assurance that I had won that supreme unsurpassed enlightenment. And I discovered that profound truth, so difficult to perceive, difficult to understand, tranquilizing and sublime, which is not to be gained by just reasoning and visible only to the wise. O disciples, it is through not understanding and not realizing the four truths that I, as well as you, had to wander so long through this round of rebirths. And what are these four truths? They are the noble truth of suffering, dukkha, the noble truth of the cause of suffering, dukkha samudaya, the noble truth of the end of suffering, dukkha nirodha, the noble truth of the path that leads to the end of suffering, dukkha nirodha gamini patipada. What, O disciples, is the noble truth of suffering? O disciples, this is the noble truth of suffering, namely, birth is suffering, aging is suffering, disease is suffering, death is suffering, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair are suffering. Coming in contact with the disliked is suffering. Separation from the liked is suffering. Not to get what one desires is suffering. In short, mind and matter as object of clinging are suffering. With the realization, this is the noble truth of suffering, there arose in me the vision of things which were unknown till now. There arose insight, wisdom, deep knowledge, and light. What, O disciples, is the noble truth of cause of suffering? With ignorance as condition, volitional actions come to be. With volitional actions as condition, consciousness comes to be. With consciousness as condition, mind and matter come to be. With mind and matter as condition, six sense bases come to be. With six sense bases as condition, contact comes to be. With contact as condition, feelings come to be. With feeling as condition, craving comes to be. With craving as condition, clinging comes to be. With clinging as condition, one becomes. With becoming as condition, birth comes to be. With birth as condition, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair come to be. Such is the arising of whole mass of suffering. O disciples, what is the noble truth of the end of suffering? The reminderless fading away and cessation of that very ignorance and craving, abandoning it, turning away from it, freedom and detachment from it. This is the noble truth of the end of suffering. O disciples, what is the noble truth of the path leading to the end of suffering? O disciples, it is the noble eightfold path, namely, right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. O disciples, this is the middle path, discovered by the Tathagata, which produces vision, arouses insight, leads to peace, to supramundane direct experience, to enlightenment, and to Nibbana.